kettlebell swing. I could have an entire video about all the benefits of the kettlebell swing. I'll go ahead and edit myself a little bit and just tell you guys that it is one of the single greatest exercises for strengthening the posterior chain, so your hamstrings, glutes, developing phenomenal looking hamstrings and glutes, making you explosive, and also improving the mobility in hip hinge under load, which makes you not just flexible but also mobile, because now that's a range of motion that you can actually control. It's also a great exercise because you're working dynamically, improving your explosive athleticism and conditioning depending on how you use it without having to have any impact on the joints. So this is an exercise that you can do until you're very old, even if you have joint issues. So an exercise that's near and dear to my heart, and one I think you'll come to appreciate as well. Start off 1 full foot distance behind the bell and then split your legs. From there, you're gonna chop your hips back in space, keeping your knee over your ankle. You're gonna grab the bell, lean it back toward you. Now when you lean the bell back toward you, go ahead and engage your lats to pull your shoulders and shoulder blades down. All right? Now from here I want to point out a couple things, all right? My elbows are straight. My neck is in line with my spine, so you got your chin down a little bit. You don't want to be looking up. And then the other thing that's most crucial is that you be pushing your knees back so that your knees are for the most part over your ankles. And then the other thing is that your knees are just a little bit lower than your hips, and your hips are just a little bit lower than your shoulders. And then your shoulders are pretty much over your knees here. So the knee, hip, and shoulder makes a triangle at the start. Now from here, you're gonna hike the bell back so that your arms connect to your torso. And then from there, we're gonna pop the hips. I'll demonstrate a few reps here. Now, one of the most important things about the kettlebell swing is patience on the backswing. So you want to allow your upper arms to come all the way into your body, and then as you anticipate that contact, draw your hips backward and throw the bell to your legs. The single biggest mistake that people make with the kettlebell swing is that they move their hips back when their arms are still far away from their upper body, okay? Which then tugs on you and puts a lot of pressure on your back and throws you forward onto your toes and off balance. All right, so patience is the single greatest virtue on the backswing of the kettlebell swing, all right? Now, the other thing that's very important is that when you drive your hips into extension to throw the bell, all right, I want you to drive the hips forward, but you also need to tuck your tail and curl your pubic bone up to bring your spine into neutral. So at the finish of the kettlebell swing, you're gonna have a spine that's long out through the tail and is also tall through the top of the head. So this is what it should look like, which is essentially a vertical plank position. All right, the second biggest mistake I see people making with the kettlebell swing is that at the top of the swing, in their efforts to drive their hip forward into extension, they lean back like this and then compress their lower back, and then they wonder why their lower back is bothering them after doing swings. That's because they're leaning back, which is compressing the spine. So once again, you want to finish driving the hip, drop the tail and bring the pubic bone up, keeping the abs tight here. All right, so watch another few reps here. All right, so I'm going to set up 1 foot behind the bell, chop my hips back, grab the bell, engage my lat as I lean the bell backward, chin down a little bit so that my neck is in line with my spine, and hike. All right. Next things to think about are your backswing. So what you want to do with your backswing, once you've gotten to where you can be patient and let your arms come into your body, drawing your hips back and throwing the bell through your legs. The other thing you want to think about is keeping your knees relatively straight so that you feel a stretch in your hamstrings and that this remains a hip dominant exercise like it's supposed to be. The third biggest mistake I see people making with the kettlebell swing is that in their backswing, they bend their knees too much, like I'm doing right now, and they turn this into a quad dominant exercise rather than keeping their hips back and making this about the hamstrings and glutes generating force, okay? So it's not that bending the knees is a bad thing, but if we're gonna do that, let's just squat, okay? The purpose here is to engage the hamstrings and frankly open up the hamstrings in a dynamic action here, all right? The other thing that I want you guys to focus on is your breath rhythm. So on the way down, you want to inhale through the nose, and then the catalyst for the hip hop is a sharp breath out through the mouth that sounds like this, or maybe hut. So it's inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth on the hip hop, okay? So to start, what you're gonna do is set up 1 foot distance behind. You're going to take a big breath in through the nose and engage your abs. So I'm gonna hold that breath for just a moment as I hike the bell backward, and then I'm gonna take that sharp breath out through my mouth on that first hip hop. So here it goes like this. Breath in, hold, and that's your kettlebell swing.